What if I told you that your mind holds a power that was deliberately hidden from you? A secret so ancient and tied to the law of vibration that it was called madness, just so you would never discover it. A few years ago, I was broke, full of anxiety, and stuck in a life I hated. Today, I live the reality I want, earn what I want, and have a peace of mind that no amount of money can buy. And the only thing that changed was that I stopped thinking and started emitting frequencies. Yes, you heard that right. The ancient Egyptian masters taught that thoughts are literal vibrations that shape matter. This isn't self-help. It's the physics of consciousness. And in this material, I will not just prove to you that this is real, but I will show you the exact step-by-step process that I used. But I must warn you, the most powerful technique, the one that truly bends reality, I will only reveal at the end because it's dangerous if used the wrong way. Stay with me because what you're going to learn today is something they never wanted you to know. Nothing rests. Everything moves. Everything vibrates. Before you can use this power, you need to understand how it's being used against you, even if you don't realize it. That feeling of being stuck, of waking up already with a weight on your chest, of living in a constant state of alert, waiting for the next bad thing to happen. This is not a flaw in you. It's a program, an invisible loop running in your subconscious. Think of it like faulty software installed in your mind. A pattern that forces you to focus only on what's wrong, on catastrophic what-ifs, draining your vital energy and keeping you stuck in a survival frequency. This state isn't mystical. It's a neurological habit. Your mind, in order to ensure your survival, learned to prioritize threats. The problem is that in the modern world, that programming has become a prison. You relive past traumas, project fears into the future, and react to situations the same way over and over again, like an automaton. And the worst part is, this program feeds itself. By vibrating at the frequency of fear and scarcity, you tune your perception to find more and more proof that life is hard and dangerous, strengthening the vicious cycle. The ancient initiatory alchemists had a name for this condition: prima materia, or lead. It wasn't the physical metal, but a dense, impure, chaotic state of consciousness. Consciousness trapped in repetitive, reactive patterns, unable to see beyond its own shadow. The great work of alchemy, the famous transmutation of lead into gold, was never about metals. It was always about the transmutation of consciousness. Taking that heavy, reactive, suffering mind and purifying it until it becomes light, aware, and golden like the sun. Does this sound familiar to you? The feeling of running in place, exhausted but getting nowhere. You try to change, but something always pulls you back to the same old habits, the same toxic relationships, the same lack of money. That something is the loop. It's your subconscious programming running on autopilot, recreating the same reality day after day. Because to it, the familiar, even if painful, is synonymous with safety. You're stuck in a comfort zone that is actually a suffering zone. Recognizing this programming is the first and most crucial step to freedom. It's like turning on a light in a dark basement for the first time. You finally see the chains that held you, the cobwebs of old thoughts, the mold of stagnant emotions. Most people live and die in that basement, never knowing the door was unlocked the whole time. They believe the basement is all there is. But now you've turned on the light. You've seen the mechanism, and once you see the program running, you can't unsee it. The question is, how do you uninstall it? Most people try to fight negative thoughts using willpower, repression. But that's like trying to put out a fire with your bare hands. You only get burned and strengthen the flames. There's a counterintuitive technique, almost a cheat code, to break this loop without fighting it. A way to get past the guard of your conscious mind. The first tool is sensory flooding. Trying to fight a negative thought with willpower is a losing battle. It's like trying not to think about a pink elephant. The very attempt already makes it the center of your attention. The trick, the counterintuitive technique to break the loop, doesn't involve thinking about something different, but instead listening to something different. It's a strategy of substitution, not confrontation. The key is to act in the very first second of the day, before the avalanche of automatic thoughts gains momentum and drags you into the cycle of anxiety and worry. The strategy is radically simple, and anyone can apply it tomorrow morning. Instead of grabbing your phone and getting bombarded by news and notifications or letting your mind wander into the problems of the day, you're going to flood your sensory field with a high external frequency. Put on headphones and play a specific audio, a talk that resonates with the truth you want to install. Think of it like using a tuning fork to recalibrate a detuned instrument. Your mind is the instrument and the audio is the tuning fork. This practice directly echoes the Hermetic principle of vibration, which states, "Nothing rests. Everything moves, everything vibrates." If everything is vibration, then you can consciously introduce a new vibration into your system to shift the one that's dominant. By listening to teachings about frequency, abundance, and personal power, you're not just hearing words. You're absorbing the frequency contained in those words, allowing that new vibration to begin dissolving the old crystallized patterns in your mind. This act is the first step of the alchemical solve et coagula, the process of dissolve and coagulate. You're using an external force, the audio, to dissolve the lead of your negative thought patterns. It's a form of purification, of washing the mind with a stream of higher energy. At first it may feel strange, but with repetition you'll notice a subtle shift. That weight on your chest in the morning starts to lighten. The mind, instead of rushing into panic, finds a moment of calm, a space to breathe. This technique doesn't require you to believe in it. It works on a purely mechanical, vibrational level. It's like taking a shower. You don't need to believe the water will clean you. You just step under it and let it do its job. In the same way, you allow the frequency of the audio to wash over your consciousness, interrupting the autopilot and giving you a chance to start the day from a new baseline, a state of greater clarity and inner peace. This calms the mind and interrupts the pattern, but it's only a temporary measure, a symptom reliever. It's like taking a painkiller for a chronic ache. It helps in the moment but doesn't cure the root cause. To make the change permanent, to truly uninstall the faulty program, you need a tool that actively rewrites your mental source code. And that tool surprisingly involves something as old and simple as a notebook and a pen. Sensory flooding calms the storm. But to rebuild the ship, you need a more precise technology. And that technology is focused writing, which I've called the magic book. The name might sound silly, and it is, because it was never meant to be public. It was a personal tool, a private alchemical lab. And it's that authenticity that makes it so powerful. It's not about following a ritual, but about understanding the principle behind it. The secret here isn't gratitude as a moral concept, but the physics of writing. When you write by hand, your brain is forced into a state of singular focus. It's almost impossible to write one sentence and think about something else at the same time. Writing channels your consciousness into a single point, and that's where the magic happens. The process is a modern ritual. Going to a neutral place like a coffee shop, playing music with elevated frequencies to create a supportive vibrational field, and then starting to write. But what exactly? You're going to write with as much detail as possible, only about the micro wins from the day before. The focus isn't on the words themselves, but on the feeling the writing generates. Maybe you woke up 5 minutes before the alarm, feeling rested. Write about that. Maybe your coffee was perfect. Write about the warmth of the cup in your hands. Maybe a stranger smiled at you on the street. Describe that moment. By doing this, you're training your brain like a muscle to look for and focus on what's working, on what's good. You are literally reconfiguring your neural pathways to tune into the frequency of appreciation. This act of recording and focusing the mind on a single purpose directly resonates with the alchemical discipline of coagulation. In alchemy, after dissolving the impure matter, the next step is to coagulate the purified essence into a new form. Writing is your coagulation tool. You're taking the scattered energy of your consciousness and solidifying it on paper, giving form and substance to a new narrative about your life. Every sentence you write is a brick in the construction of your new mental reality. The mistake most people make with gratitude journals is doing it mechanically, like a task. They list things without connecting to the emotion. The power of the magic book lies in the intention to use writing as a portal to feeling. You don't write to be grateful. You write to feel the gratitude, the joy, the relief. It's a daily emotional rehearsal. You are practicing the feelings of your desired future, anchoring them in your body, in your nervous system here and now. This daily practice, this discipline of deliberately focusing on the positive and feeling the corresponding emotion, begins to train your mind in a deep and lasting way. But how exactly does this internal, almost selfish exercise translate into money showing up in your account, relationships healing, and opportunities appearing out of nowhere in the real world? The explanation for this bridge between the internal and the external sounds like science fiction, but it's the most perfect analogy for how reality actually works. The human antenna, tuning into the radio of reality. The bridge between your journal and your bank account, between your feelings and your opportunities, is explained through the most powerful metaphor there is. You are a human radio antenna. Imagine that reality is not one solid, fixed thing, but an infinite spectrum of radio stations, all broadcasting simultaneously 24 hours a day. There's the station of fear, scarcity, and drama. There's the station of joy, abundance, and synchronicity. And there are all the other stations in between. You, with your consciousness, are both the antenna and the tuner. The frequency you vibrate at, determined by your dominant emotional state and thought patterns, defines which station you pick up. You can't hear the classical music on station 98.7 FM if your radio is tuned to 102.5 FM, which only plays static and bad news. The classical music is in the air. It exists, but for you it's functionally invisible and inaudible. You don't experience it. That's exactly how reality works. The dream job, the soulmate, the business idea that would make you a millionaire, the magical coincidences, they all already exist. They're already being broadcast into the universe right now. The problem is, if you're used to vibrating at the frequency of fear, doubt, and self-criticism, your antenna is tuned to the wrong station. Those high-frequency opportunities pass right by you without your perception picking them up. This concept is at the heart of the Hermetic law of correspondence. As above, so below, as within, so without. Your internal state, your frequency, directly determines what you can perceive and experience in your external world. It's not that the world bends to your will. It's that your will, or rather your vibration, adjusts the filter of your perception, allowing you to see what was always there. To the great Thoth, mastery was exactly this: the ability to consciously adjust one's vibration to tune into higher planes of existence and knowledge. The practice of the magic book and sensory flooding is not meant to change the world. It's meant to change the tuner. Every time you force yourself to feel appreciation, you're turning the dial of your internal radio, slowly shifting it from the station of static to the station of music. You're cleaning your antenna, making it more sensitive to the subtle and elevated vibrations that permeate the universe. You stop creating reality and start perceiving it in its fullness. When your internal antenna is recalibrated day after day through discipline and focused practice, The external world has no choice but to respond. Reality, which once seemed solid and unchangeable, begins to feel fluid and responsive. And the way it responds is so fast, so specific, and so perfectly aligned with your deepest desires, that the only word your old mind can find to describe the phenomenon is miracle. When your internal frequency changes, the external reality starts sending receipts to confirm the new alignment. And these receipts are not subtle. They are concrete evidence, events that defy logic and probability, manifesting in ways so specific they can't be dismissed as mere coincidence. This is where theory becomes lived experience. The story of the $10,000 for the move wasn't a lottery prize. It was a direct response to an internal frequency of worthiness and readiness for a new life, cultivated through months of practice. Opportunities begin to appear from unexpected sources. It's not that you worked harder or sent more resumes. It's that by raising your vibration, you became visible to opportunities that were previously invisible to you. People who are on that same elevated frequency you're now cultivating suddenly start showing up in your life. True friends, mentors, partners. They don't appear out of nowhere. They were always there, but on a different radio station. Now you're on the same frequency and the meeting becomes inevitable. This manifestation of tangible results from an internal change is the essence of alchemical transmutation. The gold the alchemists sought was not metal, but this state of being in which internal and external reality fall into perfect harmony. The gold is synchronicity itself. It's the proof that you are not separate from the universe, but in constant dialogue with it. By purifying the lead of your consciousness, fear, doubt, resentment, the gold of abundance, joy, and purpose naturally reveals itself. The key to understanding this phenomenon is to let go of the idea of effort. Society has taught us that we need to struggle, compete, and sacrifice to get what we want. But the law of frequency works the opposite way. It's about alignment, not effort. It's about becoming the vibration of what you desire so that it is drawn to you by resonance. Doors open not because you forced them, but because you became the person who holds the key. This changes the very premise of how life works. You stop being a pawn in a random game and become a conscious player who understands the rules. You realize the universe is not hostile or indifferent, but a dance partner that responds to your steps. Every miraculous event is simply the universe mirroring back the beauty and power you finally learned to cultivate within yourself. Recording what has already happened and watching these miracles unfold is a powerful step that builds unshakable faith. But that's only the beginning. The next level of this consciousness technology involves stopping the habit of only reacting to what the universe shows you and beginning to deliberately write the script of your future. And it's right here in this next step that the thin line between what you consider possible and what you consider impossible starts to disappear completely. Scripting. Writing the future in the present tense. After months of practicing appreciation and witnessing reality reorganize itself around you, your mind is finally ready for the next level of creation. The magic book evolves. It stops being just a record of the past and becomes a tool to program the future. This is scripting. It's not about making a wish list or writing vague hopes. It's about writing your future goals and dreams as if they were vivid, detailed, already completed memories, feeling every emotion as if it were happening right now. The secret of this advanced technique is the combination of clear visualization with the elevated emotion you've already learned to cultivate. You're no longer asking the universe for something you don't have. That's the vibration of lack. Instead, you're remembering a future that already exists on a vibrational plane. You write in the past tense. I'm so grateful for the day I got the news about my promotion. Or, I remember the incredible feeling of stepping into my new home for the first time. This ability to script reality is the culmination of the promise and a direct echo of the deepest teachings of Thoth. In the Emerald Tablets, he describes how the masters of time and space are not subject to the linear sequence of events. They can navigate consciousness, shaping form from the formless through the power of focused intention and sustained vibration. By practicing scripting, you are imitating this divine ability on a personal scale. It is the practical application of the Hermetic principle of gender. This principle states that everything has its masculine and feminine poles. Generation manifests on all planes. Your conscious mind, with its ability to focus and visualize, the active masculine pole, impregnates the subconscious mind, the universal field of pure potential, the receptive feminine pole. Elevated emotion is the catalyst that unites the two and begins the process of gestation. What you plant with feeling in your subconscious, the universe is obligated to harvest in the physical plane. You become the author of your own life, not metaphorically, but literally. Each scripting session is like writing a chapter that sooner or later will manifest in your experience. The key is persistence and faith, which now is no longer blind, but based on the evidence you've already gathered in the previous phase. You know it works because you've seen it work. You're simply applying the same principle on a larger and more deliberate scale, going from a reactive co-creator to a proactive co-creator. This practice of feeling a future as if it were present begins to feel like a direct conversation with the structure of the universe itself. An intimate dialogue with the intelligence that organizes worlds. And by engaging in this dialogue consistently, you begin to notice something profound and transformative. You're not talking to yourself. You're actually accessing and commanding a sentient, omnipresent intelligence that governs absolutely everything that exists. When you practice scripting and see the script materialize in your life, the journey transcends self-help and becomes a profound, undeniable spiritual experience. The synchronicities, the perfectly orchestrated manifestations, stop being isolated events and reveal themselves as proof that there is a universal language, and that language is frequency. You discover that you don't live in a mechanical, indifferent universe, but in a field of intelligent consciousness that hears and responds to your vibration. Whatever name you give this intelligence, God, the universe, the source, the all, you now have personal, non-transferable proof of its existence. It's not a belief passed down from a book or a dogma, but a direct knowing born from your own experience. You realize that the phrase, "the universe has your back," is not just a feel-good cliché, but a literal description of how reality operates when you're in alignment. The journey stops being about getting things and becomes about this sacred dialogue with the Creator. This recognition of a universal intelligence that responds to vibration is one of the core pillars of Hermeticism. To Hermeticists, the divine is not a distant entity in the sky, but an immanent force present in every particle of the cosmos, including within you. Communication with this divine doesn't happen through pleading or empty rituals, but through the understanding and conscious application of universal laws like the law of vibration and the law of correspondence. You speak to God through your frequency. Alchemy in its highest form has always been the pursuit of this union with the divine. The transmutation of lead into gold was a metaphor for the soul's journey. The purification of consciousness so it could become a perfect vessel for the divine spirit. By learning to master your own frequency, you are in practice performing the great alchemical work within yourself, revealing the language of God encoded in every atom of your being and the universe around you. This discovery changes everything. The fear of death lessens, anxiety about the future fades, and a deep sense of peace and trust settles in. You understand that you're not alone, and that you are part of something far greater, a cosmic dance of creation. You stop fighting the current of life and learn to flow with it, knowing it will always take you to the right place as long as your vibration is aligned with your highest purpose. And the most incredible part, the thing that solidifies this mystical experience in the modern world, is that cutting-edge science in its most advanced laboratories and with its strangest theories is arriving at exactly the same conclusion. Physicists, while exploring the fundamental nature of reality, are beginning to describe this universal intelligence in their own equations, proving that ancient wisdom was right all along. The final frontier. Consciousness is the raw material of everything. This is the convergence point, the moment when ancient spirituality and cutting-edge science join hands. Physicists and authors exploring the concept of real magic are proposing an idea that once belonged only to mystical texts. Consciousness is not a byproduct of the brain. Consciousness is the foundation of all reality. The universe is not a physical place that contains consciousness. The universe is a mental construct that exists within consciousness. Think about everything around you: the chair you're sitting on, the device you're using, the house you live in. All of it, without exception, began as a thought, an idea, a frequency in someone's mind. Someone imagined it, felt it, planned it, and acted on it, and that mental energy coagulated into the physical world. You are literally living inside the materialized thoughts of other people. This anchors the esoteric concept on a logical and irrefutable foundation. The Corpus Hermeticum, a collection of texts attributed to Hermes Trismegistus, stated this thousands of years ago. God is mind and thought, and the visible universe is a manifestation, a projected thought from this divine mind. The idea that consciousness is the raw material of everything is the meeting point between the double-slit experiment in quantum physics and the deepest teachings of Thoth, who saw reality as a tapestry woven with the threads of vibration and intention. This has a devastating and liberating implication. If reality is fundamentally mental and responds to consciousness, then your own consciousness is a tool of creation. You are not just a passive spectator of a cosmic movie. You are the projector. What you hold in your consciousness with focus and feeling is what you project onto the screen of your life. The quality of your experience is not determined by external factors, but by the quality of your consciousness. This understanding dissolves the illusion of powerlessness. You are not a victim of circumstance. You are the creative center of your own experience. The world doesn't happen to you. It flows through you and is shaped by your perception and vibration. Science is just beginning to scratch the surface of what mystics and sages have always known. The universe is a mirror, and it can only reflect the image you present to it. If everything is consciousness and thoughts are the frequencies that shape reality, that leads us to the final conclusion, the most powerful and personal revelation of all. A truth about who you really are and the unbelievable power you hold in this very moment. A power that has always been there, waiting to be rediscovered and claimed. We've reached the final revelation, the truth that ties everything together. The power was never in the magic book, the music, the audios, or any external technique. Those were just training tools, the training wheels on the bicycle of consciousness. The true power, the ultimate technology, the most potent tool of transmutation in the universe has always been and always will be you. You are the antenna. You are the architect. You are the transmitter whose personal frequency dictates the symphony of your reality. The illness of the mind, which manifests as anxiety, depression, addiction, and insecurity, is not a chemical flaw or genetic bad luck. It is a disease of frequency habits. It's the result of allowing the mind to operate in a low vibration loop for too long until that state becomes your identity. But a habit can be changed by consciously training your mind to operate from a frequency of appreciation, love, and power. You heal the illness at its source, not just mask the symptoms. The life of drama, negativity, and scarcity you may have experienced is not a sentence. It's a reflection, precise feedback from the universe showing you the frequency you are operating on. The real forbidden knowledge isn't a secret locked in a vault, but the radical understanding of your own innate power to transmute reality through your consciousness. It's the realization that you don't need to change the world. You need to change yourself, and the world will bow to this new version of you. Alchemy in its purest essence is the art of transforming the self. It's the process of taking the lead of your conditioned identity with all its fears and limitations, and through the fire of consciousness and discipline, transmuting it into the gold of your true self. Free, powerful, and divine. This inner transformation is not just a spiritual journey. It's the primary cause of all outer transformation. The world is the mirror, and it can only reflect the image you project. When you understand the law of vibration, you realize that nothing happens by chance. Every thought you emit carries a unique frequency, and like a radio signal, that frequency attracts experiences that match it. That's why changing your internal vibration is the key to accessing new external possibilities. Reality doesn't respond to what you want. It responds to what you are, to what you hold vibrationally in the present. When your consciousness expands, the field around you responds, reorganizing people, events, and opportunities to reflect that new alignment. Ancient wisdom taught us to think in terms of frequency, and that changes everything because it changes the thinker. You stop being the effect and become the cause. You stop being a leaf in the wind and become the wind itself. You reclaim your divine inheritance as a conscious co-creator of reality, an architect of your own universe. The prison was never real. The door was always open. Now you know this, and the choice is yours, to take a step toward your new future, vibrating at the frequency you consciously choose from this very moment on.